Hello there, it's Michelle from CNC Designs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in New Zealand, and I'm going to show you this cute fun fold card that I'm calling a hidden flap card. So that's what the card looks like on the outside, and if you pull the ribbon from the top and then the ribbon from the bottom, the hidden sides come out and the little flaps open up, and you have room to write your messages on the inside there. This card is using the Gingerbread and Peppermint suite from Stampin' Up's mini catalog. And in that suite, you have the Frosted Gingerbread stamp set. So for the card, I'm simply stamping the sentiments and the icing on the side, but if you want it, you could stamp the images for the different types of cookies, frosted cookies. And also there's a die set, that the gingerbread dies, which will cut out the different images. You could even do some white die cutting to with our new white velvet to give it a bit of layers. And we'll be using some of these on the designer series paper, or you could fussy cut the images from the designer series paper. And the paper, this is what some of the paper looks like. There's a few other images in the set, but for this card, I'm just using the gingerbread base pieces that are in cinnamon cider, and then some of the images that are from the other pieces that look like iced cookies. And as I said, the dies will cut some of these images out. But then there's other images here that you would need to fussy cut, like the, looks like a mitten or an oven mitt, I think, or the trees. So lots there that you can choose from. And of course, the paper is always double-sided, but this is the side that we're going to use. So for the card, you need to you'll be using two pieces with the brown, the cinnamon cider cookie frosted sections, so two of those, and then you'll need 4 images from the cookie sections. So I went with 2 brown, and then the inside I have 2 of the colored images. So depending on what you use there, you can die cut them or fussy cut them out. You will also need 1 A4 piece of cinnamon cider cardstock, and with that piece you're going to cut 3 sections out of it. So if you imagine this is your A4. So one section, you're going to cut it at 10.5 centimeters and then score it at 9.9 centimeters on either side. So that's actually 9.9 and 19.8. But you could do 9.9, turn it around and do another 9.9. And then you want to fold those 2 bits over so it's sort of concertina. The 2 other pieces are cut at 9.5 centimeters and 14 centimeters, and they're both identical, and then you're going to score it at 6 centimeters there, which can be folded. And that leaves you with a tiny piece left over at the bottom, and I'll show you what I did with this later. Use this as a template. You will also need, from your other pieces that you'll need, are for the front, I cut a strip of 1.5 centimeters on the red velvet. You can't quite see it very well. It's nice fuzzy red velvet. So this piece is 10.5 centimeters to fit the front. And then I have 2 smaller pieces. Let me open this one up for you, to match the 2 sides so it looks like it's carrying on. So these 2 other pieces again are 1.5 centimeters, and they are 6 centimeters long. So 2 of that and 1 of the bigger ones. Then you need, from your designer series paper, 2 pieces to go on either side, and those pieces are 9 centimeters by 5.5 centimeters, and you also need matching size 9 centimeters by 5.5 centimeters of white cardstock. That's what you'll be stamping on for the inside, for there. Oh, and I just wanted to show you, it actually holds a gift card. So that's what that's there. So you can actually slip a gift card in there and it holds that nicely. For the two inside panels, you want two pieces, and those pieces are 9 centimeters by 7.5 centimeters. So part of it you're not going to see, but you need them big enough to fit those sections there. And then one section for the top, which is going to be 9.5 by 10 centimeters for the top of your card. Then, as I mentioned before, you'll want to choose 2 brown and 2 colored images to put on there, or you might choose different images to put on your card. And then a couple little scraps of cardstock. So this is to stamp the sentiment on, and this piece of basic white is 7.5 centimeters by 3, and I cut the same size of early espresso, but I'm going to layer them up, and I'll show you that in a minute. You also need a bit of ribbon. So the ribbon is 2 strips of 6 centimeters, and that's the red ruched ribbon from the current catalog, and some bling. So I've gone with the pearl, basic pearls and the real red rhinestones, as well as a couple brads that hold the 2 sections in. You're not going to see those brads, so it doesn't matter what color they are. This is from our new brad set that has white and black square ones, and then there's also some tiny ones, but you want the bigger ones with a flat head on them. So that's everything you need to get started to do this card. So we'll get started on that. I'll move this out of the way. Now, in order to do this card, you do need to follow specific instructions in specific order. So we've already folded that down, and we'll put that aside for now. That's going to be the card back. And the 2 sides we have, we'll be wanting to use those. So the first thing you want to do is on your sides, identical on both sides, you want to glue your ribbon down. And the best thing to use to adhere your ribbon is double-sided tape, because that way, because ribbon will soak up the glue and it can discolor, and the tape allows you the chance to reposition if you need to. So I'm going to put it in the exact same spot on both of these. So just a little piece of tape near the edge, not too far up, because you're going to have a border around here, so you don't want it to be too close. And then again here, just a piece of tape, just enough to hold the ribbon in place. The ribbon will be secured with the top piece. And so we're going to stick our ribbon down. If I can get the cover off my tape. There we go. So the ribbon, you don't want it to be too long. So that's 6 centimeters. So pop one edge down, just slightly down, and then with the other edge, you want it to go this way, so there's a curve up the top. So put the 2 pieces there, and the way to check is if you gently close it. See how they've closed nice and flat? There's no twist in that part. I'll show you again for this one. So get your tape off. And so the first piece that you put down doesn't matter which way it goes down, but the next piece you want it to basically have the same end point going down. So see how there's a little curve there? So when it closes, it's nice and flat there. If you happen to mess up and stick it down, say, this way, see how the curve is going the other way, and when you fold it, there's a twist. don't worry, that's why I recommend using tape, because you can't easily pull the ribbon off the tape and reattach it. Okay, so that is the way we want it to be. Now we need to do some stamping. So you want your white cardstock out. Just put some scrap paper underneath there. And with the early espresso, I'm going to stamp this nice big image of, it looks like icing. And I'm doing it in early espresso because just on the edge of the designer series paper, see there's like splattering of early espresso, kind of makes it look a little bit burnt or toasted, and the same on the edge of the images I'm going to use. So I fussy cut these two out, and then these I use the dies to cut those images out. So you don't need to ink up the entire stamp because it's only going to be that middle section. So if you just let it sit on your ink pad that direction, you'll have plenty of ink on there. And then you want to put this as close to the side as possible. A bit difficult to do on camera, but I'll try. And good pressure. I like to do it with the squiggly there. Oh, there you go, except I just noticed I put ink there. My finger in the ink. Okay, so we'll try the other side. That's why there's two sides to every piece of cardstock. I'll try it again and try not to smudge it. So near the edge. I might have been too far over there. I'm not sure. Oh no, that's good. So that's near the edge. And then the other piece the same. Now, the reason you want to have it fairly near the edge, at least on one of them, is because you're going to stamp some words. So you're not going to have room for words if you put that decoration too far over. There we go. Now it looks quite dark, but it will dry a bit lighter. And the words, just on the bottom of one of these, you're going to stamp the wishing you Merry Christmas, and that's in real red. So I'm just going to ink that up, my real red. And so let's see, how's that? See which one looks like it's closer to, gives me more room. Okay. So if you find you stamp one further over, use the one that's closer to the edge. And just stamp the words. There you go. So that's for one side, and then that's going to be on the opposite side. So you can set those aside at the moment. And then the other, while I have my real red out, I'm going to stamp the words, you're the icing to my gingerbread, just roughly in the center of that smaller white piece, because you're going to fussy cut around that. There we go. And so set that aside to dry. And that's all the stamping we have to do. Now, bringing these two pieces back in, we can then attach the words, and we also want to attach the two bigger pieces, not the skinny one, the two bigger pieces are going to go on here too. So you can use whatever adhesive you want. Just for quickness of the video, I'm just going to use my Tombow. Just try not to put it too close to the edge because you don't want it to be leaking out the sides. And so you're going to have a bit of an edge around there. That's why I didn't want the tape too far up on that ribbon. And where's my button folder? There it is. Okay, and then that's going to be stuck down. Keep in mind this part's not really going to be seen very well. A little section of that will be hidden. So if you are wanting, if you like one image better than the other, don't put it there. So I like the darkness on that edge there, the early espresso. So I'm going to put it so you can see that on this side. That kind of ties in the early espresso that I already used for stamping. And then the same with this one. So it doesn't matter that we stamped which way we stamped it, because this can be turned to the way you want it. You want the icing on the outside edge of your card. So we'll turn that and stick that down again, just with a little bit of the border showing. If you find you had stuck your ribbon too far over one way or the other, you can just peel it off the tape and readjust it if you need to. And this piece here. And pop that down. Again, I know this side is not going to be seen, so I'm going to put it with the darker area up the top so it can be seen, so I'm not losing it. And using the liquid glue also allows you a bit of wiggle room. Okay, so now I need to mark an area to put a hole punch so I can use the brad. Now, if you're doing this at home, you know, if you're just making one of them, measuring up is the easiest way to do the marking. So we know that this is 19.5. So 9.5. So we know this is 9.5. So you want to mark roughly halfway through there. So that would be like about 4.7. And you want it to be about 1 centimeter in. So you can measure it and then put a mark there. So that's about centered. So that's 1 centimeter in and centered between the top and the bottom, my little mark there. But what I found easiest to do, and quite handy because you had this leftover piece after you cut it all out, is to measure over on this 1 centimeter and 4.7 and put your hole punch there. So I've actually made a template. So here's the template for the hole punch. And so I can simply hold that over there and then mark it. And that way I can do both of them really quickly without having to get the ruler out for each of them. So simply put that right to the edge. So what I'm doing is I'm holding my template right to the edge there and then just marking in that circle. And then get my hole punch out and just punch where that little mark is. And the same with here. There we go. So, got those holes done. Now we bring in our back piece. That's the piece for making the rest of the card. And the section here, we want to hold one of the cards, fold it up, hold one of the cards, and this time just hold the card up to the edge, close to the edge, not overlapping, but close to the edge. But you notice there's a little bit of border because this length is 9.9 and this card length is 9.5. So when you hold it there, then you can just mark where you've already punched, little circle to punch. And then while you're at it, you can do it in the middle part as well. So we need to mark where to put our hole punch on the top and the side. So that's the middle section there, and again just use that as your guide to punch your holes. And one hole there, come around and right there. Little holes. Okay, so that's all set. Now we want to attach our little cards. So it doesn't matter which one you put here first. Main thing is do not decorate the front of your card until you've put the inside sections on it, because when you unfold it, the wording's going one direction. So you don't want to decorate the front until you have it put together, then you'll know which way to decorate it. So one of these pieces can be placed there with your brad. So pop your brad in there and flatten it out. And when you put this piece in, you do definitely want to put the piece that has the ribbon coming out the bottom. So this is kind of obvious because either one you put there, the ribbon comes out the bottom. Now for this one, you want to close it down and then put this one, the brad, in here. So you see that card is attached to the bottom section, and your other hole that you punched, you're going to put the brad in this direction. So we'll put that brad in there. Don't worry about the rest of the decorating, you can do that afterwards. So pop the brad in the hole, flatten it out. Okay. So now you only want to glue a small amount on this section here because you need to be able to spin it. So if you're looking at that, this is actually going to spin this way. So you don't want any glue obscuring the part that's going to spin. So you could do a bit of double-sided tape. So in my sample here, I've got the tape there and a bit of tape there. And the same for this one. Or you could do a bit of liquid glue. If you're doing your liquid glue, make sure you don't put a lot. So a little strip on the side. And then to check how far you can go here, if you spin that a bit, you can see where it's spinning out. So you don't want the glue to come any closer than where that section is spinning out. So whether you're using glue or double-sided tape, that's where you want the adhesive to go. Now you could put a little adhesive down there, but I find it doesn't really matter. So that's how it would look if you put tape, or you could put the glue. So once you have that done, then go ahead and fold over your piece. So you got to make sure you put the brads in both sections because you can't put them in afterwards. So just holding that down over the glue for a bit. And the same thing for this one here. Glue it in the same spot. So you can glue the full length section right down on the edge. Don't make it too thick. And then you just want a little bit on the top part. So again, spin it to see whereabouts the tip would go. And just make sure the glue is not going to obscure. You're not going to hit glue in there. So this section here, no glue. So just check where that's going. And hold that down. But don't over glue it because otherwise it might stick. Your mechanism might stick in there. Okay. So once that's done, the rest of it is just decorating. Okay, so you pull it either direction, and there you go. So that's the other thing, is make sure that you have it open when you decorate it. That way you know which side to decorate. The other thing is you don't want to decorate the side that has the brad. If that spins around and you don't like that, you can simply put a piece of tape over there to hold it in place. That's fine. You don't need to do that, but if it bothers you, you could simply just put a piece of tape over it. just like that, just to hold it in place. Okay, but I found it didn't really spin for me. So you want to pull your two pieces open and then open them up. See, I've got mine upside down. So make sure you get that all done, open it up so you can turn it around to decorate it the correct way up. So the words are showing which direction to go. Now we can decorate the rest of it. So this will be my piece for the center, and then I've got my two side pieces. And that way I know this is going to be up. If you have directional DSP, of course, you definitely want to know which way's up. But the main thing is when you're putting your sentiments on it, you need to make sure you've got it the correct way up. So for this one, I think I'll put the brown up in the top corner. Now this isn't a perfect square. It looks like it's a square, but it's not. Remember, it's 10.5 by 9.5. So if you are doing this and you're cutting your own directional paper, keep that in mind. And then these two pieces can go either side. Now I've done it where these do match up, or you could cut it where it doesn't. Again, if it's directional paper, it doesn't always cut up in the perfect direction. So keep that in mind when you're cutting your designer series paper. If it's directional, you'll have to pay attention. So I think, yeah, I'll put the brown down there. So this is cut, so there should be a little bit of the cinnamon cider showing around the edges. And just glue this in place. Might do that. That down the bottom as well, the darker part down the bottom. Now these pieces are slightly smaller because the sections next to it are smaller, so don't worry about that. It's not going to match up perfectly. Now for the rest of it, we want to put our red velvet on. So the large piece goes here, edge to edge, and then you've got your smaller pieces there. And again, if you have a directional image or something there, you might choose to place these in a different section. So I just glue that in place. I'm just going to pop it right there. So it fits perfectly edge to edge. And this is another reason you want to have it open when you do this, because that way you can line up your red velvet. And so I've got the two smaller pieces on either side. And using liquid glue is good because that way you can wiggle it into place. So I'm just lining this up. Oh, I got some glue on my velvet. So I'm just lining that up so it looks like the two pieces are one, and same with my last piece of red velvet. Okay, and you want to make sure any embellishments you do on these sides are nice and flat so they don't catch when you spin the two sides. So you could put some embellishments here, but keep in mind it has to slip in here, and if you're posting it, you don't want it too thick. Now the words, I fussy cut. So with the words, I just went around them just because I didn't want too much on the front. So just fussy cut around the words. And you could have different words. You could, choose to do this as a banner. It's up to you. But I think I like the way this came out with the different colors on it. So this designer series paper set, Cinnamon cider is the main color in the background. Then it has early espresso, obviously basic white. And then it has some other Christmassy colors, real red, and if you want to know the colors, they're actually on the packet, and old olive. So those are the colors, nice Christmas colors. Can almost smell the cookies baking. Makes me want to bake some cookies actually. So, and then ice them up nicely. So this set works really well, especially if you have the dies. You can use those. They have some really nice embellishment dies to use with the white velvet, and it makes it look and feel like you've got a layer of icing. So I fussy cut that out, but that kind of gets lost sitting there. So that's why I had the early espresso piece of card. Now I did them both the same size because I know it's going to cut it. So to get it to give you just a border there, what you do is simply glue your fussy cut section onto the other cardstock. And so I put the glue onto that. Most people would pick that up and try to stick it on the other cardstock, but you might get sticky fingers. So what you do is just take your cardstock and just push it onto it. And because it's liquid glue, you can adjust it if it's not right to the edge. So that's now stuck down. And then I simply fussy cut around that to give me a nice little early espresso border. So just same thing as before, just giving a bit of a border around the edges. Don't know if you can see if it's focusing. Okay, I should look at the camera while I'm doing this, make sure that it's actually in focus. Don't know if you saw the last fussy cutting, it might have not been in focus. Okay, so just quickly around there. There's not a lot of stamping for this project, it's just the fussiness of putting the sides onto the hidden pockets. No, they're not pockets, they're pull-out sections. I'm not sure what to call this card. I found it on a YouTube video, I believe from a Japanese lady. Was not in English, and it's not a Stampin' Up one. And so it was done with completely different products, and I thought it looked really nice. So I decided to do it up for this one. So there you go. So now that's kind of stands out a bit more. So I'm going to pop that up with some dimensionals. Just 2 should be fine, 1 on either side. And this is the front of the card, so using dimensionals is fine. And just pop that up right about there, so it looks good. And then I put the 2 brown images that look like cookies on the front. So I've got my tree, and again, use some dimensionals to pop those up. And a little hand oven mitt. I think it's an oven mitt, but I think it's actually meant to be I think it's supposed to be a mitten. But since it's not cold here at Christmas, it just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me being a mitten. So I think it's an oven mitt. What do you think? Let me know in the comments which you think it is. So, so my tree, I might put my tree there because it's a bit too big. And then I'll just put my oven mitt there. Okay. And then the inside, I've got these 2 bits. Now, I'm going to stick those down flat because if I have them sticking up, might not fold very well, especially if I decide to put a gift card in there. So I'm just seeing. No, I think I'll add some green to that side over there. So you can put them however you'd like. I'm just going to stick them down flat. And these I'm just going to stick straight as well. So you could add some extra embellishments on here if you want it. But I just like the images themselves from the designer series paper is quite nice. Okay. And then I just added a little bit of bling to it to give me some add some interest. So I just put a little bit of the red rhinestone here at the bottom of the words, and then we'll pop some pearls. We'll pop that pearl in the center of my mitten. Maybe pop a pearl. Maybe pop one there. And a couple pearls just on the tree. So you can decorate it however you like. Just pop one there. So this part of it, you can just do whatever you'd like, however you'd like to decorate. A little bit bling adds to any project, I think. And just pop a bit of bling there because I had a little red mishap. I don't know what happened with the ink, but that covers that up nicely. So there you go. Your card is done. So you can fold it over. As I said before, you can actually fit a gift card in there if you want it to. And one folds the top, close it and fold it down the bottom. There's your card, and it does fit perfectly into a normal envelope. Stay ready for posting. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please give me a thumbs up if you did, and make sure you subscribe to see more videos in the future. So that was using the Frosted Gingerbread set, and I think I called it a hidden panel card. I'm not sure what name, but it uses Frosted Gingerbread. You can use the dies or fussy cut the images, but you're also using the Gingerbread and Peppermint designer series paper. Thanks so much for watching. I will be listing all the products used at the bottom of the video in the description. So if you want to get any of those and you live in New Zealand, you can contact me at michellekritchley.stampinup.net, or if you already have a demonstrator, please contact them. If you live outside of New Zealand, go on to the Stampin' Up website to find a demonstrator near you, and you can contact them to purchase all these items. This is in the current mini catalog that's valid until the end of the year, so through till the end of 2021. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. Bye!